Hi everyone, welcome to my newest video about how to feed multiple cats multiple foods in a single household. So as we all know, diet is super important to our health, and it can be particularly important as a management tool for specific health conditions. And one of the most common challenges that people face and ask for vets for advice for is, how the heck do I feed different foods when I have more than one cat at home? I mean, because it's a pretty hard problem, right? I mean, cats just kind of want to eat whenever they want to eat, and they're pretty naughty. When they get into places, it's really hard to isolate them. So what do we do when we have more than one cat in our house, and one of them requires a special diet that maybe the other one doesn't need, or might even where it might even be a diet that the other cat requires. There's a couple of really good examples of this that are really, really common. Probably the most common one would be when you have one cat's obese and the other one isn't. So, it's pretty common. You get two cats in the household, one's a little chunker, the one isn't. And you want to put them on diet, but you don't necessarily want to put the healthy cat on a restricted calorie food, whereas you want to put the fat one on a restricted calorie diet. Another scenario is where you get a kitten. And this is why young Claudia is with me in this video. You guys all know young Claudia, the most squished cat on the internet. So you get a kitten and you have a senior cat, and they have vastly different nutritional requirements. So when I got Claudia, she was a little kitten. She needed to eat kitten food only until she was about a year old. Meanwhile, Mr. Pirate was a mature feline with a bit of a, let's say he was, I think what the YouTube comments called him a unit. He's a bit of a larger, husky gentleman. I was trying to keep him on a Purina OM, which is a weight loss or weight management diet. I really don't want a mature cat eating kitten food because it's higher in calories, and normal cat food is going to make him fatter. So that was a bit of a challenge. The other classic case, and the one we're dealing with right now, is that Mr. Pirate has chronic renal insufficiency, which you can learn all about in my Mr. Pirate health update videos, links in the description below, in which I go quite in depth into how I manage kidney disease and just manage his health overall. Well, guess what? One of the best tools we have for managing kidney disease is a renal diet, and a healthy adult cat should not be eating it because a healthy adult cat has a higher protein requirement than a cat on kidney disease, and renal diets are protein restricted. So that has been a challenge we've been working on. And there's other scenarios as well, but those are probably the most common ones where you might need to feed different foods to different cats in a single household. So how do we do it? There is some pretty old school advice I'm going to go over with you guys. Now, this video is sponsored by Petlibro, who kindly sent me a really awesome product, which is actually probably the best solution for this problem that exists right now. And I'm going to give you a sneak preview. It is an RFID chip-driven feeder that only dispenses food for a cat who's wearing a little microchip. And I'm going to talk about this solution towards the end of the video. I'm going to do a bit of a product review, because this is actually like a professional grade tool for feeding different diets to different cats. In research facilities where they study feline nutrition, all the cats wear a little collar with a little RFID chip on it, and they have little feeding boxes, and a box will only open for the right cat and it has the right food in it. Having a little feeder that only dispenses the right food for the right cat is an amazing tool. I'll talk about that towards the end of the video, because first I want to go over the more traditional solutions and also the free solutions that those of you who are not ready to buy a new feeder might want to try. And then again, those of you who want to skip ahead to the really awesome, high-tech, and definitely most efficient solution, I'm sure somebody will provide a timestamp in the comments below. So multiple cats, multiple foods. Solution number one. This one particularly works well when you have a kitten and a senior cat, or when you have an obese cat and a not obese cat. And that is separate foods by elevation. This is one we took with little young Claudia here. When she was a kitten, I had a pantry closet in my kitchen, and I put the kitten food on the pantry closet shelf, kind of nice and high. And 3 times a day, I would lift Claudia up onto the shelf so she could have her kitten food where Mr. Pirate could not reach it. And then the rest of the day, she had access to Mr. Pirate's food, which she could kind of browse on at will. And here, it's also really important to mention that out in nature, cats eat 14 to 16 small meals a day, right? They're predators of tiny little animals. They'll go out, they'll hunt, they'll kill something, they'll eat it, they kill something else, they eat it. And this is a natural way for cats to consume their food. This is why at home, free feeding is always preferable to set meal times. Free feeding helps regulate body weight for cats and also helps regulate their insulin levels, which makes diabetes a bit less likely. And for most cats, it's a really excellent solution. You do occasionally get cats who are obsessed with food. Typically, I find them to be cats who've spent time living out on the streets or as ferals, basically have gone through a period of life where they have limited access to food and become a bit food obsessed, or orange boys. As you guys well know, those of you who watch my videos, that orange male cats are very much the Garfield stereotype. They tend to really work on that feline obesity with gusto. But it doesn't mean that you can't feed your cat set meal times, and there's certainly scenarios you may want to. This is one. So Claudia got 3 meals of kitten food a day, and then she could browse on Mr. Pirate's diet, which was left out all the time. And for a kitten to eat a bit of adult cat food is not a big deal, as long as most of their calories come from kitten food. And this way we avoided Mr. Pirate eating the kitten food like a little chonker that he is. The downside to the strategy is, first of all, you got to be pretty disciplined about lifting your cat up onto a shelf 3 times a day for a year, in this case, longer in different cases. But also it taught Claudia that meal times exist, and then you can meow loudly at a human to encourage them to remember that they exist. So it did kind of, I think she's definitely meows a lot when she's hungry, and I'm pretty sure I trained her to some degree to do that by having this fixed meal schedule during her initial formative year. So that's kind of the downside of that strategy. So a little bit labor intensive. It works. And again, it's good if you have an elevated position to which the elderly cat or the fat cat or whatever the cat you don't want to eat eating special food can't jump. Now, it doesn't really work for scenarios where let's say you want to feed kidney diet to a senior cat. You want that food to be available with kidney disease, because you want that food to be available at all times. Your priority is for the cat with kidney disease to eat. Appetite can be a challenge in renal disease, and you want them to eat as often and as much as they can. So then how do you supplement let's say the other cat in the household who's normal, doesn't have kidney disease, and has a higher protein requirement with high protein foods? Again, couple different solutions. One of them might be lifting them up to a shelf, because most senior cats might not be big jumpers anymore. They probably got some arthritis or some general weakness. That was a solution. Might be a solution you need to do for 5 years. If your vet's dialed in and manages your cat's renal disease properly and you're a bit of luck. The other solution, of course, is a door. So feeding cats outside the door, separating them for, like, say, half an hour or an hour feeding time certainly works, a little bit less labor intensive. The downside to this is just that you have to have discrete meal times. You do have to separate the cats. And remember, separate the healthy cat. Leave the one who needs a special diet in their environment as much as possible. Normalize their eating as much as possible. You can take the younger, healthier cat into a separate room and just give them 30 minutes with a bowl full of high protein kibbles. So again, most of their calories come from their regular cat food. And then that way, during the day, they snack and browse on the renal diet. It's not going to do them any harm. It just doesn't have quite as many proteins and amino acids as a non-renal cat needs. So separating them, again, with a door certainly works. Again, requires a bit of discipline, or as the cats not to run to each other's space. Again, the issue there is, again, because cats love protein, is that your kidney cat will try to sneak into the other room and have the adult food, and they'll eat it preferentially to their renal diet. So that can be an issue for some people. It means you probably can't leave the adult normal, like, maintenance food out all the time. Another solution, so one that we often use in this household, because I'm very busy and a little bit lazy about feeding my cats, is to just sprinkle a little bit of adult regular food onto the kidney diet, and let my young adult cat who doesn't eat a renal diet get an extra protein kick. It does mean that my senior cat also gets a little bit more protein in his diet than he strictly needs to. Again, my cat undergoes, this is a strategy that I probably wouldn't recommend to everybody at home, because Mr. Pirate undergoes really, really close monitoring. Like, we do blood work probably every 2 or 3 weeks on him throughout the year. I don't know how many clients who do that much monitoring on their cat, mostly just for, like, practical and financial reasons. It's not wrong. It certainly helps me manage Pirate more efficiently, really fine-tune his care. I keep a really close eye on his, blood nitrogen levels and his SDMA and phosphorus and all these other factors that determine how well a renal cat does. So I'm comfortable that I can supplement him with a little bit of adult kibble without negatively impacting any of his renal parameters. But again, I don't think most of you are going to be taking your cat to the vet often enough to implement that level of at-home monitoring. Some of you might be, but if I wasn't doing that, I would probably be a much more disciplined and much more kind of rigorous about making sure Mr. P only gets the right renal food, because then I wouldn't have the same ability to detect when things go off track and correct them immediately. So yeah, not every cat has a personal physician, basically. So that's probably not a great solution. So yeah, just separating them by height often works. That doesn't work if your cat who requires a special diet can also jump really well. So, every household has slightly different solutions that work optimally for it. So these are a door or a shelf. Those are the two classic solutions to this problem. Neither one works as well as you wish it would. But again, they're often good enough. And again, a lot depends on the duration you need to do this for. If you just need your cat to lose weight for 6 months and then you go back to feeding both cats the same thing, well, you might be able to do something that's a little more labor intensive. If you have a kitten that only requires kitten food for 8 to 10 months till they're a year old, and then it can go into the same food as your other adult cat or cats, great. Maybe you just suffer through that rigmarole of lifting them into a shelf again, assuming the other cats can jump up there. So those are kind of the old school pragmatic solutions. Now let's talk about the high-tech, super cool and easy solution. Oh, and at this point, Claudia needs to be elsewhere. Bye-bye, cat. I think it was Elizabeth Taylor who said, never work with children and animals. So, Petlibro has this really cool product line. They're RFID controlled water fountain and feeder. And I'll talk about the water fountain a little bit in a moment as well. But the feeder is the one that really is pertinent to this video. It's a little food dispenser. Cat wears a collar with a tiny chip in it that's calibrated to the food dispenser. You load in the diet that you want that specific cat to eat into that dispenser. You dial it into the amount that you want that cat to eat in one meal, and then off you go. And the cat, whenever they're hungry, they learn very quickly. They walk up to that thing, it dispenses some food, they eat it, and then that diet is specific for that kitty. Again, this is a solution used in research facilities. It is really only viable for kibble, which is totally fine. I have a whole video on whether to feed wet food or kibble to a cat. You should check it out. This really is a solution that's only viable for kibble. Now there is an automated wet cat food feeder as well in the market, also by Petlibro. It's actually sponsoring the other video I mentioned. So if you watch that video, you'll see a link to it. There's a wet food cat feeder, which is pretty cool. Dispenses wet cat food on a schedule. But most automated feeders are made for kibble because it's just mechanically simpler, right? So that RFID feeder is a great solution. How would I use it? Well, what I would do, let's say a scenario where you have kitten in a household with an adult cat, I would put the kitten food in there and make the kitten wear the collar. So the kitten you get a little snack of kitten food. So then the adult cat isn't gonna eat the super high energy, high protein kitten food that's gonna make it fat.
I'm so sorry. Oh, pirate, I'm so sorry. Food not accessible.
Standing right here, but you're seeing right through me. Oh, like I disappear when you start.
The other scenario where we have an obese cat, or you're trying to make lose weight, again, you would probably leave the weight loss diet out all the time for that cat. It'd probably be wet food because wet food is more effective at making cats lose weight than dry. And it's okay if your skinny cat has access to it because they're going to preferentially eat the higher calorie kibble that their little personalized food dispenser is going to dispense. So they can go up to it, get a little meal, and then it's okay if they browse on the weight loss diet, which they might not even do. In this third scenario I mentioned, where you have a cat with, say, kidney disease, and you have a cat without kidney disease, again, you make the sick cat's food available at all times. Renal food is less palatable than regular cat food. You don't have to worry too much about an otherwise healthy cat sort of gorging themselves on it. And then, again, you have the adult, normal, healthy cat who just needs regular maintenance kibble or regular maintenance food. Get their food from the RFID feeder. And again, I'm just going to put a little plug in there right now. Watch my video on cats with kidney disease. follow the instructions given in it. Watch my video on Mr. Pirate Health Updates if you have a cat with kidney disease. It's basically a master class on how to get a cat with kidney disease to live a long and wonderful, healthy life. And Mr. Pirate is pushing 22. I mean, proof is in the pudding. And I'm not saying he looks like pudding, but he does look a little bit like a tabby pudding, as you all know. Okay, so once again, the Petlibro RFID pet feeder is an awesome, awesome tool. It's professional grade. It's what's used in research environments for determining which cat gets which food and regulating food intake. So absolutely the best tool for the job. And definitely makes your life a lot simpler than using the kind of more traditional solutions. And I want to give also honorable mention to the Petlibro RFID water fountain, which is actually an upgraded version of the Petlibro like Bluetooth controlled water fountain that I already use in my household. I made a video on it ages ago. You can find it somewhere on my channel. But it's an awesome water fountain because there's two things I look for in a water fountain. One, that cats drink from it and Mr. Pirate drinks from it. And the other one is that it's easy to clean. Because obviously the fresher and cleaner the water, the more your cat's going to drink, and you want your cat to be drinking really, really enthusiastically. And a lot of automated water fountains come with a little pump and little parts that are just fiddly to clean. They're a lot of work, and the more work something is to do, the less often you're going to do it. I definitely suffer from this. I hate cleaning water fountains with a lot of fiddly parts in it. It's definitely the major barrier for me to clean the water fountain regularly. So I love the new design where the pump is kind of integrated into the water fountain base. It's kind of out of the way, super easy to just flush out the water fountain really quickly and replace the water. And it's probably something I would do way more often than I do with a more complicated design. And then, yeah, like once a week, you disassemble it, give it a good scrub inside. Again, ease of cleaning is better for your quality of life, also way better for the cat's quality of life because it means the cat gets fresh water more often and drinks more regularly. And of course, the other features are really, really cool for a multi-cat household because one of the big challenges we have in a multi-cat household is monitoring food intake and water intake. If you have one cat, it's really easy to tell when they're suddenly drinking way more water and peeing more, which is a common sign of common cat diseases such as kidney disease and diabetes. When you have a multi-cat household, really hard to tell when somebody's drinking more unless they wear a little RFID chip on their collar, and then the app literally tells you how much your cat drinks. You can set a little alert so it actually tells you if all of a sudden one cat's drinking more than it normally does. It's an amazing monitoring tool that gives you way more data than you could ever have any other way and can help you spot when your cat in a multi-cat household suddenly starts drinking more. And this should definitely trigger a vet visit because increased drinking is a common sign of common cat health problems. You should never wait and see and if it gets better. I mean, never wait and see anyways, but 100% your cat's drinking more, go to the vet, get blood work done, get urine testing done, figure out why it is likely to be significant. Particularly if you have multiple cats and one of them suddenly starts drinking more and there's no other explanation for it, like a diet change or anything else being different, because the cats are both in the same environment, right? So really, really cool tool for monitoring your cat's health. And again, the ease of cleaning, I think, is a big bonus for the owners and the cats peripherally. I really like how small and light the microchip is. It's really unobtrusive on the collar, so it won't bother your cat at all. I also really like the Petlibro app. Like, I'm not a big tech guy, but the app is really slick, really good UI, has all your Petlibro devices on it, you know, the feeder, the water fountain. And it's nice that it has like your drinking history, your little log of how much your cat drinks. Also has a little water warning, which is really nice because if you do forget to refill it 1 week, it'll tell you. Or if your cat's drinking an abnormal amount and it suddenly empties out or it's really hot, whatever, it's nice to have a warning when your pump is running low on water because it might not be that obvious from the outside. So just, yeah, a nice slick UI app, which really helps you manage your cat's food and water intake easily. So again, thanks Petlibro for sponsoring this video and giving us these awesome tools for maintaining your cat's health, because really that's what they are, right? The way I think about all of this stuff is they're tools to help us take care of our little friends better and also hopefully make our own lives a little bit easier. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video informative and helpful. Again, reach out to me on Patreon if you support my work or if you need a second opinion on one of your pet's cases. And I'll see you next time. Please remember to squish that subscribe button and pet the bell notification icon so we can see more of each other. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with anybody you think might find it useful. And if you want to support our public education work, then please head over to Patreon, where your support is much appreciated. And I also offer second opinion cases if you need my help with your own pet's medical issues.